Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another webinar today in Abhyas series. My name is Priyanka, and I will be your moderator here today. And I'm an executive business developer and wellness specialist at the Abhyas Institute of Universal Awareness. So today's topic is a very exciting one. But before I dive into the topic and introduce our lovely panel members, I think it's appropriate to just kind of share a little bit about what these webinars are for and why we are doing these webinars. So these webinars that we have here at Abhyas, they're very much designed to bring a community together of like-minded individuals so that they have an opportunity to expand their awareness based on topics that we set here at Abhyas. However, we don't want participants to feel that these webinars are designed to provide solutions. Saying that, our panel members are always very generous with their time and their energy, that they do like to share tools and tips and tricks. So we always encourage our participants to make notes or to jot down any ideas. And of course, you will have opportunities throughout the webinar to ask questions and of course, leave comments through the chat window. Or if you're comfortable, you can have your video switched on and you can ask our panel members questions directly towards the final 10 minutes of our webinar. So here at Abhyas, what we envision is very much through the application of experiential knowledge that we can create a paradigm shift in society's perspective, equipping it with the ability to face the challenge as is. And our mission at Abhyas is that we are committed to equip individuals with equal opportunities, to impart courses on mental well-being, therefore creating a better future for themselves and for humanity at large. And as our founder Namdeo would say, that all transformations have one thing in common. It's all about the turnaround in the perspective on what they have been through. So on to our topic for today. Our topic is called self-mastery for cohesion in the workplace. So this topic that we have today will be exploring the concept of self-mastery and its impact on workplace cohesion. So if we look at the workplace today, amid pressures, conflicts, and competing demands, the way that we respond to challenges has an influence on the environment that we create around us and the way it is nurtured. So I now want to actually welcome our panel members and introduce them one by one so that we can then start to transition into our discussions for today. So our first panel member is Nicholas Jani. He is the co-founder of Matrix Development. Nicholas has been working with CEOs and senior teams globally for over 25 years and teaches at two of the world's leading business schools, pioneering a new vision and practice of leadership. He bridges the worlds of creative, personal, spiritual, and professional development in a uniquely powerful, relevant, and accessible way. His book, Leader as Healer, is a new paradigm for 21st century leadership, and it was published to wide acclaim in 2022 and won Business Book of the Year at the Business Book Awards in 2023. Since an awakening at the age of 16, Nicholas has devoted his life to the development of human potential and has studied and practiced many different forms of personal and spiritual development. He is, of course, the co-founder of Matrix Development. Welcome, Nicholas, to our platform and congratulations on your book.
Thank you very much, Priya. Delighted to be here.
Our next panel speaker here today is Rushi Rashid. She is the founder of Healing Space. Rushi is a distinguished psychologist, a transformation coach, and an energy alchemist with over 25 years of experience empowering individuals and organizations to unlock resilience and growth. As the founder of Healing Space and Nama HR Consultancy in Dubai, she blends evidence-based psychology with holistic practices, including mindfulness, sound healing, and energy alignment. Renowned for her expertise in emotional resilience, leadership development, and life transitions, Rushi bridges neuroscience with inner transformation, guiding people beyond survival patterns to thrive with clarity, balance, and purpose. Welcome, Rushi. It's an honor to have you on our platform today.
Thank you. Pleasure is all mine.
And our third speaker for today is Yoroni Wilkin. Yoroni is a transformational coach and conscious leader who helps individuals reconnect with their unique energetic signature. She believes that true empowerment comes from transcending our self-imposed limitations, integrating mind, body, and soul to live aligned with the authentic self. With over 10,000 hours of coaching, Yoroni continues to inspire conscious leaders, entrepreneurs, and young professionals worldwide to awaken their potential, develop resilience, master self, and create holistic success in an ever evolving world. Welcome, Yoroni. It's an honor to have you on our platform today. Thanks
My
for being here, all
privilege.
of
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. So, I think we'll start with the question for our participants. And whilst our participants are taking their time to kind of think about this question and think about how to respond to it in the chat, what I would really love to actually bring to the surface is an opportunity for our panel members to share a little bit about themselves. So, first of all, the question that we have for our participants is how might our natural tendencies influence our teamwork and cohesion during challenging moments? So in a moment, I will, of course, share this question up on the chat as well. And then I'll just be setting us up for the actual panel discussions. All right. So I think it might be a really good idea as we do set ourselves up for the panel discussions to kind of just hear a little bit about your journeys, a little bit about your journey that has got you to this amazing inspirational point where you are right now. And of course, what is it about today's webinar that really resonates with you? So, Nicholas, if you don't mind, I would love for you to start the conversation with that one. Thank you. No
I'm not
worries.
sure how to talk about my journey briefly. Ex- I mean, I had a life-changing awakening age 16, and ever since then I've been devoted to exploring what's our highest possibility. And I did that for 20 years in the theatre, helping actors discover how they could go as deep as possible into what in sports they call the zone, or like total flow. And it was always by opening the body as deeply as possible
Mm,
into a higher and higher frequency. And then the
mm,
last 25 years or more, I've been working with CEOs and teams. I mean, in a nutshell, my work is based on two pillars: healing and awakening. And healing is all about working with the parts of us that are very contracted due to all our wounding, our hurts, personal, ancestral, and collective, but working with them in a very direct way. I think the whole problem is we're way too conceptual with everything. So working very somatically, very directly. And the other is awakening, which is awakening our consciousness towards more and more non-dual reality. And of course, they go hand in hand. So I teach coaching as well. I teach coaches to work at a quite a deeper level than most corporate coaching. And I'm finding that I'm learning and discovering more and more and more. It's an amazing thing. And I discover by working and by teaching, not by reading. I'm hardly reading anything at the moment. And I have a very strong, very radical voice in the corporate world. And I'm finding that more and more people, it's really resonating more and more. And the core of Leader as Healer is healing our inner fragmentation and bringing body, heart, mind, and soul into coherence. Because most of the time we're overthinking. And I love Einstein's question, is your mind your master or your servant? Because in 95% of people and our culture, the mind is the master. So we normalize living in an extremely absent, disconnected way. So my work is fundamentally a correction of that. That's my summary.
Oh, I love that, Nicholas.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I'm already getting some good questions to actually kind of bring to the
Good.
surface.
Okay, good.
Yeah, this is very good. Rushi, would you like to go next, please?
Yeah, I've definitely. Thank you. And Nicholas, it's been wonderful to hear about your journey and what you're doing. It's quite inspiring and wonderful. So about me, I've done my path in psychology, but I think there was still a calling that was nature, and somehow I ended up being an organic farmer as well. So I think that is what has got more of a difference in me, like, as a farmer working with nature, seeing how much of cohesion is there in nature. I think that inspired me more to bring that change in my work, the way I do work with clients in my corporate or even with my clients. And I think I'm quite inspired by Carl Jung, wherein he talks about the process of individuation. So it's that evolvement or metamorphosis of self through individuation, wherein you integrate everything. It's not just about what you're good at. It's even the things that are not contributive, like, even when you talk of pain, or trauma, or even habits which are like procrastination or anything of all that sort, or stress and all that. And I think it is what reflects in the nature also is, when you see the example of weeds, people think it's useless, but it's only an indication of what is it required for the soil to be healthy, to be nourished. And I think these are all our, the so-called negative emotions or negative aspects of our being, which are required for us to be who we are today. And it is the process through whatever we go through, the challenges, that is what makes us more resilient. That's what makes us more in a space to be more cohesive.
Mm, thank you, Rushi. Yoroni, be great to hear from you on this as well.
I sure can go down so many rabbit holes with this question. Firstly, I was in the corporate space for about 16 years. Was good at it, wasn't my passion. And that's something that became very evident to me. As you learn, as you become aware, as you become conscious, life certainly for me, and what I often share with my clients, gets you in three ways. It's either through your health, through family, because they know how to get under your skin, or your career, and more so for solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, the business that they've created, because it literally is born from you. And like both Rishi and Nicholas said, is all of those elements play a role where we are here to have an experience, the fulfillment there are of, and then finding all parts of ourselves. It's becoming whole again within and within everything. There's no separation between the good, the bad, the ugly, and something else versus what's yours and what's not yours. It's all interlinked. And in 2002, my health gave me a real wake-up call. And it really started my desire to question. A few years later, I really questioned what was the purpose of life. And that is where a lot of the learning became from my own personal experience, and I think that is the most important message, is something is only true when you have your own direct experience of it. You can get advice, you can follow mentors, you can be coached and guided. And when you have that inner experience, the penny will drop and it will synchronize and you will understand what it really means. And that is why I'm so passionate about self-mastery, because it is connecting with that inner wisdom. And it is those magical moments when you have that aha. Even in the most painful experience, it can be hugely liberating. And that is exciting. If we talk in the concept of the topic today being in the corporate space, it's a lot more challenging because you are in a confined space with a lot of extra personalities. So you maybe don't have the experience of stepping out of that more naturally. And I felt that's why I stepped out of the corporate space, is to really embody a lot of what I'm teaching. And naturally, it allowed me to follow my passion and my purpose, which I'm so grateful for.
Thank you. Yes, look, I mean, I think from what all of you have shared, like there's a lot of similarities I'm also seeing in terms of my own life experience. So I also started out my career in the corporate. I've actually worked across academia, I've worked across private sector, I've worked across government sector, and of course I've also worked as a yoga instructor. And you are absolutely right. What all three of you are sharing here is it is about that unity between mind, body, soul, heart, and self-mastery is really the at the core of what it is that we do and the way that we deliver and the way that we show up in the world. So I guess in this corporate space, I think what would be a good place for us to kind of start these conversations is, well, what do we really think self-governance really is when we talk about self-governance or we talk about self-mastery? And forgive me for using these terms rather interchangeably, but what do we think self-governance really looks like in a professional setting? Maybe that can be a point we could kind of unfold a little bit more together. And I guess the second part of that really is looking at what role does personal discipline really play here in influencing us as leaders or as change makers or aspiring leaders? And how does that have an influence on your team environment? Happy for Nicholas to start the conversation and for Yoroni and Roshi to add to that. Yeah, thank you.
Just say the first part, please, of your question, Ria.
Of course, of course. So the first part of my question is really
Self-governance.
exactly.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
Yeah, I prefer that self-mastery.
Mhm.
So first of all, I think that, actually, I know that. I don't think that. I know that our highest offering is our vibration. And our vibration depends entirely on our inner level of coherence, which is why I say that the first priority of any leader has to be their inner development. And that means being willing to really look rigorously, often at the most painful parts of us, which we've excluded. I'm actually running a program at the moment called Returning from Exile. And we exile all the parts of us that got very hurt. We had to, it's not a mistake. So a big part of a leader's inner work has to be bringing those parts back and stopping this whole idea of positive or negative emotion, saying, you know, I got hurt, I was really sad, I was really frightened, I was very angry, just to make it simple. And I need to have the space to actually feel all that again, because that's the only way it gets integrated, not by thinking about it, not by meditating. It has to be a very direct, trauma-informed work. And that's a whole new field in corporate work. So I would say the first pillar of self-governance is that willing to look rigorously at all parts of myself. And the other pillar of it would be to have a very strong meditation practice, a very strong physical practice that keeps everything moving and awakening. So those are, like, I would say, the core pillars of self-governance. And how does that affect the team? 1000%, because a leader is vibration. So a leader is constantly transmitting. So everything depends on their inner work.
If I can maybe chip in here, I agree. We are very much all the vibrational space. It's our energetic signature, words interchangeable. For me, that self-governance, that self-mastery is really, it starts with a personal observation, that willingness to go there, very much like Nicholas says, and yes, there's ways to delve into that. And I'm going to answer the question at the same time of discipline for me is learning to not take everything personally. Not everything is about you. And what I mean by that is when people are involved, there are personalities and egos involved. And we cannot assume that we understand the perception that somebody is going to come from, or what they mean is actually, or what they say is actually what they mean, because it depends on an intricate synopsis of their background, their traumas, their culture, their religion, social aspects, language barriers. Even with us all speaking English, if you mention a few key words, we will have very different definitions for them. And often we take that personally, where it was not meant to be personal at all. It was just a reference point. So when we can zoom out and just create some space for understanding and molding of a scenario, for me, it's important that when I say leaders, I mean everybody, because everybody's a leader. You lead yourself through life. Nobody else does that for you. You do it. So we are actually all natural born leaders. It is just whether we're willing to expand that a little bit further that makes the difference. And when you take rather the time to understand how someone else might be processing a thought, or what their emotional triggers are, or how they approach situations or deal with stress, you're far better off creating harmony or diffusing a situation that will go pear-shaped very quickly when we just create space. Nothing is personal. We're all actually just here trying to figure it out. And we don't have to have all the answers either. That's not what self-mastery is about for me.
That's lovely. So to add to that, I feel like, I would like to add to what you have told just now is I think how we perceive things, or if we are getting triggered by others, it's all about our own experiences as we grew up, especially like when you talk of how our childhood has been, how we were, I mean, even to date back to our experiences in womb. We experience the emotions vicariously through our mother, right? Like what a mother goes through, the unborn child is also going through the same space. But it's all going back to what you have experienced, and these are the triggers. So I think you're very right, and it's not about what the person is doing, but it's what in us that is actually reacting to that. So somewhere in that context, mastery would be to be present with us, with ourselves, and start this journey of being what you want to be, from being to doing it or becoming it. I think mastery is the journey of from being something, being that energy, with it, be it with your emotions, be it with your thoughts, be it with your body, be it with your spirituality. It's all about being in that space of cohesion with no judgment, so that we can move from integrate all the experiences, good or bad, to become what we want to be. Mastery is not something that is achieved. It's an ongoing process. So, daily, when you experience something, you kind of integrate that into your own life journey. And I think it is, for me, I would define it as from being to becoming.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, definitely very interesting. From being to becoming. So some really, really good points that we've looked at here at the moment. We've really looked at the number one thing that as a leader, and all of us are leaders, that the more conscious we are of the fact that we are energetic beings, and the way we show up in the world, the way we carry ourselves, that has a real impact on everyone around us. And that energy, that frequency that we vibrate at is what impacts others. So I guess the next, element that's really worth talking about here is, how is it in the workplace can we really allow individuals to see these elements within themselves, like you've mentioned about integrating whatever we've experienced in our lives. So how is it that we can support as leaders, but also, of course, how we can support individuals in the workplace to understand these nuances, to understand these elements, but also, more importantly, to be aware of their own tendencies and how it influences them, how they show up in the workplace.
So if I can maybe go there. Firstly, certainly traditionally, I'm talking about old school businesses, you were very much expected to leave your personal life at home. It's like, don't bring that into the workplace. It might still be the case. It's as if you've had to separate a part of you and come into the workplace. For the last few years, especially when people started working from home, all of a sudden it was the reverse. Workplace now came into home, and that transition was chaotic and traumatic for a lot of people, because it was far easier to separate the one than what it is to introduce the other now into an environment that's your private space. And I feel almost since that has happened, companies will benefit more and get more out of their employees if they bridge that gap a lot more, is to say the wholeness of you can come to work. And yes, there's what is acceptable behavior and what's not acceptable. But if somebody arrives and they've maybe had quite a rough morning, their child didn't sleep the night before, child is sick, you're stressed about that. Somebody taking 5 minutes to acknowledge that, what do you need? You just need to go and take 5 minutes to compose yourself. And how can we support you? That staff member is a far better position to say, okay, I can get on with this because all of me is allowed to be here and I'm still going to do the best that I can. Obviously, there's, I'm not talking about the exceptions where the Mickey is now being pulled out of it. But previously, you would sense this big energy coming into work, and it would be like a thunderstorm has walked in, or an iceberg walked in, and everybody just ignores it, or there's extra work pressure put on top of it. Whereas, because we've acknowledged that we're energy and we have a presence, the same energy that can be destructive, like a bull in a china store, with that energy, if somebody holds a space of compassion, of understanding, of we're in this together, you create a space of acceptance where people feel, I can come to work and I'm going to be accepted. I'm okay. Even when things are not all okay, we're in this together. You're forced to be in it together, really. You all applied for a job, you don't know each other, you work in different segments, but you put in a confined environment together. You didn't choose it. It's not like your relatives or whatever. So when we create that space of collective consciousness of there's a level of acceptance here, that ripples out, and it's extremely powerful, and it's silence and it's acceptance versus the opposite of the bull in the china store. So for me, it's also not just about discipline, because discipline can sometimes set into someone overcompensating or ignoring what is being asked of them in the moment or the situation. For me, it is about a commitment. What are you committing to? What common goal are you creating that you can work from to help harmonize and balance, whether it's yourself or a team, or help them by balancing to say, I notice something is off. Do you need a minute? Sometimes just being noticed like rebalances, if that makes sense.
Totally. I have an example of the opposite of that. I was working with the top team of a big law firm, the top team of a country in Europe. And the evening before at dinner, the one female member of the team said to me, Nicholas, you need to understand that the men in this team would rather die than be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. So the next morning before my work with them, I sat in on a team meeting. And their head of HR was communicating from somewhere in Asia. And it was a good presentation. But one of the guys stood up and started shouting, I don't agree, and blah, blah, blah. And someone else started shouting at him. And this went on for about 20 minutes. And everyone else started being on their phones. So afterwards, I talked to the man who'd invited me in. And I said, what was going on? Why is that guy behaving like that? And he said he got the news yesterday that his sister has terminal cancer. So instead of being able to come in and say, hey, everyone, I'm feeling really upset, ruins the whole meeting. And that is so common. And that's why I said we have to get beyond negative, positive. This is how I am. And all that's needed is I need to be heard. I'm really upset today. I'm very anxious today. That's why a lot of teams now, it used to be rare, but I hear it more and more, start their meetings with everyone around the table saying how they're feeling. But really, not like I'm fine. And the leader has to be someone who's done enough of their own inner work that she or he will welcome everything. Otherwise, people will just say what they know the leader is comfortable with. Someone could say, I really don't want to be here. I'm so irritated. And the leader says, thank you. And after a round like that, everyone feels very present, very connected. And miraculously, the person who was so irritated feels really good because they've been met. It's as simple as that. But so many corporate cultures are a million miles away from that.
And sorry, just on your story, you may find that the reason they were irritated and don't want to be there is not because it's anything to do with work or the team.
Of
it's
course.
Because they maybe got a sick child at home and they would far rather want to be there or whatever.
Or it could be about the team, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I call it radical inclusion.
Yeah.
Everything needs to be included, but it takes the leader who has a big enough space to hold that. And that's 100% a function of their own inner work.
I feel a lot of leaders struggle to hold space for it because they're often bombarded with the story of it. And that is also on the owners of the employee, is to drop the story for all of us. It's actually not about the story, because the story you've potentially made up based on a perception you had, or you heard somebody else's talk in the
Right.
passage, and now you've added to your story, and now it's become a snowball, and none of it was actually relevant, right? And it's to be able to just stay with the truth of something is, I am angry right now, I'm irritated right now, and a button has been pushed or whatever, because then it gives people a lot of space to work with. Stories, what do you do with that?
I agree. We live way too much in stories, most of which are not connected to actual experience.
Yes.
I agree with you. It's like when you ask someone, tell me how you're feeling, most people start a whole story. So I teach coaches, say, stop. I'm not asking you for your story. I'm asking you to look, first of all. And a lot of adults don't even know how to look inside, to know how I'm feeling. Because we're fragmented so much from a very young age. If our parents didn't welcome how we were feeling and taught us how to articulate how we're feeling, it's very natural that when we get to adulthood, A, we don't know, and B, we definitely don't know the language for it. I have a very good friend in London, a Lebanese man, who has an amazing organization where they go into schools and they're teaching young children to recognize and talk about their emotions. It's amazing. And the children end up going home and educating their parents.
That's wonderful. I think what I would like to add here is, I mean, both of you have spoken so well about it. I think there's only a little that I can contribute here. But it's all about, in the space that when you are in, okay, now probably I'll start with what it is to be, what it can be done for the organization. And I think as a leader, I feel you can set the example of what it is. So if you're experiencing an emotion and if you're able to name it and you're being able to be present with it and you show people and probably involve this kind of learning space where you understand your emotions, where you are able to handle yourself, is what would make a difference. And one more thing to add to that is I think, it's not just naming, but also being present with it. Any emotion like you experience, anger or stress or anxiety, physiologically, it takes only 90 seconds for you to experience it. It's only when we overthink it, it's like, that is where the problem kind of it gets extended or, spread across. So I think when you are able to name your emotions and if you're being present with it for 90 seconds, just feeling what you're feeling without giving it a lot of importance or significance, saying that, oh, I am angry. Just experience that for 90 seconds, your anger will go. So, probably when you exemplify that kind of a space for others, the team would also follow. And here again, I would bring a syllogism from the nature, the mycelial network. If you see the fungal network, which exists in the root system in the earth, it's a space through which the plants exchange nourishment, information, and support to each other. And I think as a leader, as a member of the team, if we can, kind of give that nourishment in the sense of safety, acceptance, it is okay to be not okay, and also the guidance, the information that you can give, that would make a lot of difference because we are, I think, even if we don't try to tell what has to be done and if we just show what is to be done, I think that is one of the best ways of what you call the vicarious learning. The team would still learn without actually being told what has to be done. Or, you know what, let me, like, today I'm feeling a bit upset, so let me be present with it. And they are kind of inquisitive. Oh, what is he trying to do? And probably that is what drives learning, the curiosity.
And just to add to that, I think you said
Yeah,
it beautifully. I think leaders need to embody what I call
yeah,
robust vulnerability.
exactly.
It's a very important combination. I can show you what I'm feeling. You can see I'm feeling it, and I'm also okay with it.
Yeah.
That's what I call robust vulnerability.
Yeah, and that one doesn't have to act on it. You can feel it without projecting it, without making something out of it, without making others feel uncomfortable. You can just actually be with it and still be in a room full of people.
Yeah. I think it's okay to be not okay.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm finding more and more leaders are going beyond just saying, I'm fine, when asked, how are you? And more leaders I'm hearing saying, actually, I'm really lonely. I feel very isolated. I feel lost. And that's a really big step when a leader can start to articulate those kinds of emotions. Because many people are lost right now.
Exactly.
Actually,
Even I'm seeing that. Even I'm seeing that in a lot of leaders, that they feel like, they're not supported, and they are feeling lonely. And, there have been a couple of them who told me that, I feel like someone should come and hug me.
Yeah.
I need a lot of hugs.
Right. Yeah, beautiful. And also
Yeah.
to be able to hold a team in a space of actually we're quite lost at the moment.
Yeah.
Way ahead, because that's the nature of the time. The way ahead is not so clear. And instead of rushing to fix that, let's sit together in that. And let's welcome our anxiety. Let's include our anxiety. Because in my experience, that's the only way that suddenly new ideas open, higher levels of intelligence come in, because we're willing to be present with exactly what's true. And if what's true is we feel lost, and it takes a very developed leader to say, we're not rushing to fix that. Let's feel that together. Let's be with that together, because we are lost right now. We don't know exactly which way to go. We're in a time of radical uncertainty. I really like that phrase. We're in a radically uncertain time. And so let's live that instead of trying to make it certain when it's not.
For me, I feel there is certainly the energy of lost comes up. That's fair. However, a way to navigate that is by setting an intention and getting a team together and say, look, with this project even, what is the intention? What are we working towards? And the minute you have that, or listen, there's disharmony in the team, what is our intention? Do we want to resolve this, or do we want this team to fall apart? Is this the kind of environment we really want to work in? Is this what you want to come to work with every day? Right? No, it's not. All right. So we have different values. Working together does not mean you have the same values. And it is holding that space for, it's okay to have different values, to have different lifestyles, to have different expectations. But as a team, for what we're here to do, what is our intention? What are we going to create today? And when you can break it down even day by day and say, right, we work towards that and we did well, then the feeling of lost, I can't make a difference, diminishes. Uncertainty is there, yes, and we've got to learn to navigate change consistently, because that is a given. Yet we're not truly lost. If you're lost, it's because, for me, it's often because you haven't found your own inner intention as to what you're working towards just for the day even. Yes, the feeling comes up, especially in transition times. You can feel lost because you're moving away from the known into new behaviors, patterns. Everything about you changes. Maybe your friend circle change, maybe work environment change, maybe it all changes at the same time because you're busy becoming more aware and conscious. One can feel lost in that, yes. Yet, if you have the intention, it changes the energetics of that word and what it could potentially hold. My opinion.
Yeah, I only half agree with you, because you're still making loss something wrong, or something that we should overcome. When radical inclusion means radical inclusion, not trying to change something. Because in my experience, even when someone says, I feel really hopeless, instead of trying to change that, and we really meet that really fully and allow someone to really feel it, it naturally alchemizes. Or I feel really powerless. Oh, that's not good. Let's see how you can find your power. Actually,
I'm not saying it's wrong.
When someone really is allowed to feel powerless, in my experience, that's a door opens to something very new. Whereas if we want to try and change them feeling powerless, we actually close the door. That's my experience.
Yeah, I was more just referring in the work context. On a personal coaching level, that's very different. So for today's topic, I was more referring to it in that way, because if we do radical inclusion, then we can just as well say, well, bad behavior is also acceptable in the workplace, or abuse is also acceptable in the workplace.
No. That's
So, yeah.
That's I think different when you talk of abuse or things. It's about just being present with what you're experiencing. So even if you're feeling lost, yeah, I'm feeling lost. So let it sink into your body that, okay, that is there. Let the physiological functioning of the body take charge for that 90 seconds. And I think, just if you give it, I have seen this work wonders with my clients. It's just 90 seconds. You're not going to understand it. And I don't like the term understand. I just ask my clients, what are you trying to stand under? You don't need to stand under something. You need to have your own perspective. It's okay. Like, yeah, I'm frustrated. Yeah, I get it. You're frustrated. You're frustrated. And just be with it. And I think 90 seconds, it changes. And then you look in as to what is it that made you frustrated? Looking for the triggers if there is something that is causing you to do that, and then move on post that. It's also actually setting the boundaries. Like, even if there is an abuse, then it doesn't mean that when you're present with your feelings, you're going to let someone walk over you. It is realizing your power by being centered, by having, by enjoying who you are, even in your shortcomings. If I'm procrastinating, it's okay, I'm procrastinating, but I need to understand, why am I doing that? Just being present with it, I think, will make a lot of difference. I think that's what is there, and everyone is trying to share their experience about how it has worked. And it's been wonderful to hear you both. And thank you so much, Priya, for this space, where we could have this good discussion.
Oh, it's my absolute honor. I mean, I think everything that all of you are talking about are such relevant elements worth exploring in the corporate sector, but not just corporate, in any sector, really. So I guess I'm not seeing any questions coming through. So I have one more element that I think was very important to explore, because I feel that the conversations are just organically shifting in that direction. We've spoken a lot about the elements of presence and the elements of acceptance. And I also really love the terms radical inclusion and radical uncertainty. I love that. And I think as a society, we're terrified of both. We are terrified of uncertainty because we love to control, and we are terrified of being inclusive, including being inclusive of all our vulnerabilities.
Exactly.
And I thought it was beautifully said by Dr. Rushi, that it's not that you're allowing for someone to walk over you, no, but at the same time, you are creating this harmony within. So I guess the element that I wanted to explore next with all of you is, what is this complex interplay between inner harmony, and how can we utilize that, or how can we transmute what is going on inside of us in terms of our vulnerabilities to be able to address conflict management in the workplace? Thank you.
So I actually just want to clarify again, radical inclusion is not including all behaviors.
Ah,
It's
yep,
including, like with a child may be
of
very angry,
course.
start breaking
Yes,
things.
yes, yes,
And we say, listen, I absolutely meet you in your anger, but we don't
yes.
break things.
Of course, you are right. It's
To be
not
clear,
condoning the
just to be
behavior.
clear, no, but it's radical
Absolutely.
inclusion of the
Yes,
emotional experience. And in
you are right.
conflict, I think that's exactly,
Yes.
conflict rarely resolves until that happens. I mean, I've worked with groups of Israelis and Palestinians where there is huge, huge emotion in the room, and often starting with real rage. And it's only by allowing that and meeting that there is a chance of then getting to what's underneath that. Because at first it's literally, I would like to kill you, from both sides. And if that's allowed and met, and it certainly stretches me to the maximum to hold that kind of space, but that there is often a moment when a much deeper grief arises and a much deeper fear. And when that can be included, the whole energy field changes. So it's always the root of all conflict is emotional. It may look like it's about a situation, but that's just the surface. That's why any leader who comes to me and says, I need to work with this situation, I say, no, we're not going to work with that. We're going to work with what's happening in you. First of all, because once we do that, your whole perception will change. And secondly, you're going to be bringing a much more coherent vibration into the situation. And you're going to feel much more what's actually going on. So your whole impulse to fix the situation is already a mistake or problem. Or a limitation, let's say. I finished.
Yeah. Yes. Yaroni Rushi, is there anything you'd like to add to that? It's very deep and profound what Nicholas has just shared.
Oh, definitely the Nicholas is spot on with that, is that we are being asked, and I feel that's almost the purpose of humanity, is to transmute all that energy within and to balance and harmonize it from within. That is, for me, the ultimate of the human experience.
Yeah.
Is everything that comes at you is to transmute that within and to meet that with what I refer to as unconditional love, unconditional acceptance. All is welcome. And it is not about making anything right, wrong, rule sets. None of it applies, because we're all being asked to own that part within us. And when we do, we release it actually on a higher consciousness. So,
Yes.
so it is complex, and humans are complex. And on top of that, you have personalities and egos that are complex. So it is a highly complex situation. And when we can just create that space for ourselves and hold that space and transmute within, while you hold space for everything going on outside of you at the same time, that is when magic starts happening. That is self-mastery. My belief system is that external circumstances mirror what's going on internally. So if you are in a highly charged environment, is to view that and say, okay, I've got to look at this. Why have I created this? Or perhaps sometimes you're just in a space where you are being asked to level up and help balance everything more, but that means you've got to be more balanced. And that's how we practice. It's like going to gym. what we face in life is our own inner workout, so to speak. How else are we going to learn? We don't learn when we're lying on the couch, right? You learn when you're doing, when you're being, when you're learning to go beyond that experience.
Yeah.
And that comes from transmuting the energy yourself, being the invitation and the example for all of that to happen. So yeah, that's what we signed up for. Nobody told us that though.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Very true.
actually, I love what you say, Ronnie. And I just want to say that, because it's actually even in what you said, it looks complex, but there's actually, in some ways, it's profoundly simple as well.
Yes, it is. If
And
we're just
sometimes we
prepared to.
get lost in the complexity,
Yes.
because actually at the core, there is a,
Yes.
yeah, I remember watching Keith Jarrett, the pianist, in an interview, and he said, you know, after many years of playing, I've come to a profound simplicity. And I thought, I understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We do complicate life hugely.
Well, you
Yeah.
really do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in a
Truly, life
way,
is very simple. Like,
in one sense, there is actually only one human being. The rest is all just certain layers of variation, but at the core, in a way, there's one human being.
yeah. I think, I think as we have been discussing, I feel somewhere, it's all about the ego that comes in for the conflicts. And if we come out of the right and wrong, and, just be in that space of, okay, I'm willing to listen to you. The problem comes and we don't listen to people when they're saying, and I think that's what kind of creates the problems in communication, or the conflicts arise from that. If you're willing to listen without going into the wrongness of it, and I kind of get this example of number 9 and 6. So probably from where I'm seeing, it could be a 9, from probably some other person it is 6. It doesn't mean neither of us are right or wrong. So if you explore life in that space, probably there'll be less conflicts. And probably if you're willing to listen from not a judgment of wrongness or rightness, but saying in a space of being an interesting point of view. This is one of the tools that I've been using around, where if I feel like if I'm reacting to someone's dialogue, I would just go, oh, that's very interesting to note. So the reaction that comes in me kind of gets nullified. So even if I'm reacting and getting upset or very happy, I think it's just about going under the extremes. What if we are in that balanced space of harmony, wherein we are neither right nor wrong, nor good or bad, not happy or sad, but just be present with whatever you are. That calmness, I think that would make a shift.
I'm so grateful to all of you today. I really wish I could keep this webinar going for longer because I'm just loving these conversations. But I sadly have to conclude. So I think we've just had such beautiful conversations here to get together today. And we've really been able to arrive to the point that our self-mastery begins within, and whatever it is that we are experiencing outside is a reflection of what is happening within. We've spoken about being inclusive of our vulnerabilities and our strengths, and being able to hold that space as leaders for others to be able to do that for themselves as well. We've also spoken about the importance of boundaries and how they play a phenomenal and pivotal role in creating cohesion in the workplace as well. And I'm just so grateful for today's webinar. My summary does not give justice to the beautiful experience that all of you have shared, but I do very much feel that our audience have really enjoyed today's webinar. And of course, the recording will be made available on our channel, Abhyas Mauritius, for all to view. And for those of you who are very new to our organization, you can find us on LinkedIn. At the bottom right corner of our screen, you'll find our QR code. And if you've enjoyed today's webinar, then stay tuned. Our next webinar is next Wednesday at 6 p.m. And this is a topic I'm very excited about. It's all about, are we functioning only from a place of memory? So it really will be delving deep into an element of epigenetics, cellular memory, and really diving into our patterns and the way we behave. And so here at Abhyas Institute of Universal Awareness, I just want to mention that we're a research hub for mental health and holistic well-being. And we very much focus on physiological, psychological, emotional, as well as social factors, because we know that they all are equivalent drivers to an individual's overall mental health. And so if you'd like to learn more about us and of course hear about our future offerings, we have retreats coming up as well. And then please do visit our website on www.abhyas.mu. And with that, again, I want to say a very heartfelt, deep thank you and gratitude to our panel members here today. I'm extremely grateful to your knowledge and to your expertise that you've shared and your experiences that you've so humbly shared so openly with us today. So thank you so much for your time. And I look forward to seeing all of you again on this platform on a future date. Thank you so much.